Hello, welcome back to another episode of Litigation Speaks. I'm Richard Claywell, and today we're going to talk about industry analysis. When we do a business valuation, we need to look at Revenue Ruling 5960 again. 5960 is a holy grail for doing business valuations, and this is on a global basis. So when we look at Revenue Ruling 5960, one of the things it says is that the industry analysis is a part of the fundamental analysis for doing a business valuation. This gets into the credibility of what the business appraiser, business expert, business valuation individual is doing for the client. What winds up happening is there are some resources that are out there that will talk about industry analysis. They're very, very slim as far as the information that they provide. When we do a business valuation, we should be using, in my opinion, the gold standard for determining how to analyze a company. There's an individual, Dr. Michael Porter. He teaches at Harvard. He's written a book, done several publications on what industry analysis is and how to conduct industry analysis. He has developed what he calls the 5 forces of industry analysis. One of these is, or the first one, and there's no magical order about these, but the first one I have is to determine the threat of new entrants, new people coming into your market area, the bargaining power of the suppliers, the bargaining power of the buyers. Is there a threat to the particular product that you have, i.e. can I substitute it for something else? And then the rivalry among the competitors that are out there. I'm not going to talk about all these today. I'm going to talk about one today. I'm going to talk about the threat of new entrants. The other 4 we're going to talk about in future podcasts. So we should do those every other week or so. The issue that we have is credibility. Michael Porter tells us how you're supposed to analyze the industry. The data sources that we receive, that we subscribe to, will tell us here's the very, very tip of the iceberg for what's happening in the industry, and they don't give us a whole lot of detail. So from my perspective, if you're involved in a case of litigation, the question becomes, did I do industry analysis? Well, yes, I did. I went out and looked at one of these services I subscribe to. And again, that's very, very, in my opinion, weak resources that we get from them. So the question becomes, have you used the gold standard? Have you referenced the materials dictated by Dr. Michael Porter? The answer is probably going to be no. And I say that because I very, very seldom ever see anybody else ever using this. I only know of 2 or 3 people all over the country that even are really aware of Michael Porter and try to use his data sources. So that is something that we need to do, in my opinion. So you need to find out from the expert if they've done that. We should have some information in our work paper files to indicate the research that we have done. So the question for the attorney is, have you done that? Can you show me in your work paper files where the results are of your analysis, and see how it ties back into Michael Porter? On the threats of new entry, here's something to think about. Can the new company enter the industry with little ease? I.e., is it going to be real expensive to enter the market? What are the barriers to getting into that market? I'm a CPA. We're not chasing tax returns. We're not chasing audits. We're not chasing bookkeeping or write-up work. So there's a barrier there. If you're a lawyer, there's a barrier there. I'm not a lawyer. But you need to go to law school. You need to pass CPA exam. You need to pass the medical exams. So there's some threats there that can keep people out of the industry. If I were to go and just do simple tax returns, now I've got H&R Block as a competitor, and I'm not criticizing H&R Block. It just depends on what you're doing. Is the industry expected to slow down? Is the industry expected to increase? And then how has our company compared to other companies in the industry? If the industry is slowing down, You may or may not have more entrants coming in. If it's speeding up, if there's more market share, then you're going to have more people coming into the market. So have I analyzed how that particular situation works? What are the returns that are expected for the company? If the returns are high, is going to be more competition. More competition means more new entrants. When someone enters the market, what are the capital expenditures? What sort of investment do they need to spend? If it's very, very minimal, it's easy to get into the industry. If it's very, very difficult, very high, it becomes more problematic to actually get into the industry. You need to take a look at that from the standpoint of, if the industry is going down, also what's happening to our company. If we're doing a discounted cash flow and we're talking to the client and they're telling me that my revenues are going to be as grandiose, they're going to go up like a rocket, but the industry is on a decline, what's the support for that? If the industry is increasing, do we have older equipment that we need to replace? And if new entrants are coming in, they're going to have that newer equipment. So now my older, probably close to obsolete equipment is not going to be nearly as productive, which means I may have to go buy new equipment to remain in competition with the new people that are coming in. That affects my cash flow. That will reduce the value because I got additional expenses and additional capital expenditures. The resources that we buy does not give us that information. You have to go in and look at the analysis that's there. This is what I would call part one. We'll look at the threats of new entrants. I will get into the other four in later podcasts for y'all. I hope you find this interesting. If you have any questions, you can contact me on LinkedIn at Richard Claywell. You can send me an email. You can call me on my cell phone. I want to thank you for tuning in today and subscribe to me on LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn to Richard Claywell. Hope to see you next time. We'll talk more about industry analysis. Thank you for your time.